Hello and welcome back to your 11th Django tutorial, building master code online. In the previous tutorial we set up our admin page, took a little tour of it. In this tutorial we're going to make our home page a little bit more dynamic. So first off, let's do this. Copy this, click on this, paste there. Alright, what I want to do here is display the home page and the admin page for a second. So what we're going to do is add a couple of our objects to our home page. Now, if you look in here, we have headings. Well, I want to display our last three tutorial series here, okay, that are not archived. Alright, so if you do not have your tutorial series, at least have 4 of them in there. I did Introduction to Python, Flask, Django, Machine Learning. Just throw 4 whatever names in there you want. And then we're going to jump in and actually display some dynamic content on our home page. Alright, so we're going to change this stuff out and display it. So let's get started. Open up your text editor. We keep models open. We don't need settings open. We can collapse tutorials, and we're going to go to master and the views. So this is handling our home page, right? We did this before, created a home page here. So what's the first thing we need to do to be able to access our models? Well, we need to import our models, all right? So what we want to do is from tutorials. Alright, so we're saying, hey, from, go down to tutorials. Next thing we want is models, so we're going to say tutorials.models import our model class. Alright, so what was our model class? Well, it was tutorial series. Alright, so we want to import that. I believe that's what we called it. I hope that's what we called it. Tutorial series, yep. Alright, so, Alright, so there we go. We imported that. Now we have access to it. So the next thing we need to do is query the database and get the information we want. Alright, so I'm going to show you a basic query at first. A query how we get all the objects. Alright, so we're going to do let's just call it series is equal to, and we're going to do tutorial series, then we're going to do dot objects, so we're getting objects. Alright, so try to remember, hey, I'm going to tutorial series, I want to get objects, and for now we're going to get all the objects, so all. Alright, the all function. Alright, so now the next thing we need to do is add our content to the context, so Django knows that's what we want to display. So in here we're just going to do a string, and we're going to do series, and then a colon, and then series. Alright, so here's series, and then the variable series. Alright, cool. So now we got that set up. How do we display it on the front end? Well, we need to go to our home page, alright, our home.html. So in templates, let's open that up. Home.html. Alright. Now, it was called heading, right? Yeah, I think so. This is where we want to put our content, okay? Now, we can't just simply just go here, put content here, okay? First off, what is the query going to return to us? Well, the query is going to return to us 4 objects, because that's what we had. That's what I created, was 4 objects. Alright. The easiest way to do this, if you want to really dive into things, but I'm trying to speed this up, would be in your terminal you can open a Django shell. So let's go ahead and take a look at that real quick, and then we'll jump back in and finish doing our setup. But I want to show you how to do this. So if your server's running, hit Control C. And that's going to kill it. And then we're going to do python manage.py shell. Alright, so this is going to open the Django shell. And then we want to do from tutorials.model import tutorial series, just like that. It's interesting. Oh, forgot something. Sorry. From tutorials.models import tutorial series. All right. Now, next thing we want to do is what we did right here is series, and then that's a variable holding tutorial series objects.all. So let's go ahead and do that. Whoop. Terminal here. All right. So series, a variable representing tutorial series dot objects dot all, like that, and then we just call series and see what that returns to us. All right. If you look, it's a query set. All right, and there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. So 4 objects. All right. So there's 4 objects in the query set. How do you go through, and I should say it's a list, actually. It's a list of query set. How do you iterate through a list? You need to use a for loop, correct? All right, so I'm going to kill the shell. By the way, if you ever have a question about, or have any, I shouldn't say questions, but if you have any confusion about how querying works, open up the shell and just hack away, man. Try all different types of things, because your queries and working in a shell is an eye-opener to you, other than actually trying to do it in the views.py. You're just going to get a headache from doing it that way, but this is a great tool right here. I'm not going to visit it much, but this is how I learned how to write queries and everything, was in the shell. But I think that's a different tutorial all in itself. So go ahead and hit Control-C, or Control-D, I'm sorry. Exit, and we're going to run our server, python manage.py, run server. Alright, back to what we were doing in our home.html. Like I said, we're going to need to iterate. Alright, so we iterate with a for loop. So our for loop is going to be inside the row. So we create a for loop in a Django template like this. Alright, so we curly brace, percent symbol, and then we're going to say for series. Now let's do for item in series, and then percent symbol and curly brace. I was going to say for series is in series. That's not going to work. So for item in series, all right. That's the generic way to do it. We're going to iterate through each one, okay? So in theory, since we're going to iterate this 4 times because we have 4 objects, we don't need these other 2. So let's go ahead and just delete these and get these out, because they're just confusing. All right. So whenever you start a for loop in a Django template, you need to have an ending for that for loop. So we're going to come down, make curly brace, percent symbol, and we're just going to say N4, and then percent symbol and curly brace, just like that. All right. Next thing we want to do is we want our title of our tutorial series to go here. So what did I call it? Name. Tutorial series name. There we go. Alright, so back here we're going to go ahead and do 2 curly braces. Alright, so that indicates a variable, and we're going to say item.name. Alright, go ahead and save that. Go back to your browser, and let's make sure this is working properly as planned. Machine learning. And then you see Django, Flask, and Introduction to Python. How easy is that? Like, literally, that's pretty damn easy. We just made a dynamic website by doing a few things. Now, this doesn't look good, But let's go ahead and finish out. Let's go ahead and put some information in here. Actually, I should just... Sorry, freezing up on me. There we go. Now, it's the only pain about PyCharm. It's not easy to scroll and delete things here. Alright, so next thing we want is the description. So let's just do 2 curly braces again and do item dot description like that. Save that. Let's go back and refresh to make sure we got some content in there, the proper content. And there we go. So I got some stupid content in here, but that works for now. Alright, we're going to want to extend this content so we can manage our site a little bit better and see, because in real life we're going to have a lot more content. But the main thing I want to focus on right now is we want the last 3 tutorial series. Alright, I know this is the first one I created because that's the one I made in the last tutorial, machine learning, and then I probably did Django, Flask, and the introduction of Python. So that's not the last 3. That's not even the last 4. It's kind of backwards, right? So this would be these 3 over here would be the last 3. Also, if you remember correctly, if I go back up here, machine learning is archived. Matter green here is archived. So I don't want that displayed on the front end. If it's archived, you know, I really don't want people following that tutorial. So what we need to do is go back into our views.py file. That's my home.py file. And we're going to change this query around a little bit. First thing we're going to do is filter it. And we're going to filter where archive is set to false, alright? Because we don't want to see any that are set to true, because if it's archived, why are we showing it? Especially on the home page, we can show it other locations, but not there. So do filter, and then our parentheses, and then in there we're going to do argument of archived, like this, is equal to false. So we're saying to Django, hey, query the database and find all the archives that are set to false and return them. Alright, so let's go back and refresh. Machine learning should disappear. And it's just the server being slow. Everything seems to be working right, so I didn't screw anything up. There we go. There we go. We got rid of machine learning because that was archived, correct? But we're still, if we go back here, you can see the first one created is down here, and the last one's created, it's up here. We want to show the last 3, but we want the last one to come first. So how would we do something like that? Alright, so let's go and take a look at that. Oops, sorry. In our views.py file, we're going to add another filter, if you will, query, I guess you would, order by, alright, and in here we're going to say we want to order by the ID, okay. Well, Django creates an ID for every object that we create, correct? I said that before. Now, so it would count, first object would be 0, 1, I don't remember exactly what it gives. I think it's 0. Second object's 1, 2, 3. We can actually look if you're curious. In here, click on one of these, machine learning, it's 1, okay? So 1. And let's see here. We're going to do order by ID, alright? So let's go back and refresh. My server just found. Alright, so nothing changed. Well, that's not what we're looking for. We want introduction to Python to be first. So let's go back, and it's actually going to be negative. Alright, so we're going to say, hey, we want you to go from the back forward. Alright, so the hyphen or the minus symbol indicates that. Alright, cool. So if we go and refresh, Jesus, man. Come on. Speed up to my speed. Alright, there we go. We got Introduction to Python. We got that one first. And then Flask has always been in the center. And then Django. Alright, cool. Now let's go back here and figure out why. There we go. One thing I want to do is show you if we take out archived on our one that we did have archived, machine learning, and save that, unarchive it, and come back and refresh. You notice it shows up now. So now we got 4 objects again, and that's not what we're going for. So with that being said, how are we going to fix that issue? Back into the views.py, and we're just going to slice. All right, square brackets, colon 3. Basically, we're saying right here, return the last 3 objects in this query set. All right. So we'll go back and refresh. Man, I need to figure out why this is being so slow. Alright, there we go. We got Introduction to Python, Flask, and Django. That's what I was looking for. One last thing before we go tonight. You notice the buttons? We can't really do anything with the buttons until our next tutorial where we're going to create a detail page for our objects. So don't worry about the buttons right now. I know we haven't done anything with them yet. One last thing I want to do though is let's go ahead and, well, that one is not being displayed. Let's find one that's being displayed. Introduction to Python. Alright, I want to add some more content here. And the reason I want to do that is because I want to show you. I have to show you. Besides explaining it, if you're ever looking for dummy content to throw into when you're designing, go to loremipson.com, and basically it just generates weird language for you. The filler content. Where is it? There it is. Instead of you writing stuff out. So we're just going to take this and we're going to put this into our Python Introduction to Python description here, because I just want some real content so I can work with it here. Alright, so we're going to come back and we're going to refresh this real quick. Now watch what happens. You see this, all this content? Well, we don't want to display it like that. That would look stupid on our website, right? So what we can do is we're going to come back in here and description. We're going to do a pipe, shift pipe, and we're going to do truncate. Let's do characters, and let's try 200 to start. All right. So what we're going to do is truncate it. Means cut it off at 200 characters. So let's go back and refresh and see what that looks like. That's a little bit more better looking. We can get even more precise and have it stop on the 3rd line, which I think would be even better. So let's just say 180 here. Whoops, that's not 180. 180. I'll give my server a second so it doesn't freak out. There we go. Not 180. We're going to go a little less, so we'll go 165. It doesn't really matter, you know, it depends on what you think looks right. I have a designer I work with all the time that drives me nuts with his pickiness with stuff like this. But anyway, there we go. We got it set there. I also want to change 2 more things. I don't like how the title and the content is set to the left. I also don't like how the button's set to the left. That just looks stupid. So let's go up here to here and do text. Was it text center? I think that's what it is. Find out. No, that's not it. Trying to remember what it is in Bootstrap. It's getting late. It's Text Center. Oh, it is Text Center, just not underscore. Boom, there we go. I think that looks good. We're going to create a detail page for our tutorial series. That way we can set up these buttons and make them work. We're also going to look at creating the URLs for our tutorials app. Alright, so down here we'll have some content to put in here, some URLs. And then after that, we'll continue on in making this cool website. So I'll see you then. If you got any questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, have a great day.